Hello, everyone, and welcome to what is the first in a series of videos where I'm going to be making a song from scratch. And, I've been wanting to do something like this for a while now, mostly because I, I know that when I was a beginner in making music, I always wanted to see how people actually made music. Because I'm the kind of person that learns by seeing. So I always wanted to see like people, like, what was their thought process, like what were they thinking, what was their approaches to making music. So I figure, it might be interesting sort of for me to go about and explain how I go about making music, because I've definitely come up with like a method and such, as I've made music throughout the years. So I figured it might be useful as for information for people out there who are beginners themselves and are looking for a way to learn. So let me real quick explain what we're going to be doing. So first, we're going to be planning out the song structure of the song. We're going to be sort of deciding how many sections is the song going to have. So, and a song section is pretty much, well, you'll have your favorite song, and I'm pretty sure you've noticed that the song has like an introduction, and then maybe the song has a verse, maybe the song has a chorus, and the song probably has like an outro. Those are sections in a song. So, and those sections, to me at least, they tend to be defined by melodies. Because like the verse is gonna like have a different melody than what the chorus is gonna have, but it's still the same song. So we're first gonna plan out the song structure, right? Oh, let me do this. So let me see. So plan, what we're gonna call it. So we're gonna do first song structure. We're doing the song structure so that we know how many melodies we're going to need for this song, right? And then once we know the song structure, we know how many. I didn't put down melodies. Oh, geez. Know how many melodies we're going to need for this. Okay, so once we have the song structure done, then we're gonna go and compose those melodies, right? So we're gonna go in, we're gonna make those melodies. Once we have those melodies, we're going to arrange around those melodies. Right. So, and then what I mean about arrange around those melodies is I don't really know. I don't really know what I want to do with the song yet. So I don't know what I'm going to arrange it for. But the arrangement is sort of like, I guess you can say, like the genre you're making the song for, right? So like if you're making a melody, you can arrange it for, like, I don't know, like an orchestra or like an electronic song. You're you're putting all the instruments to make it sound like a genre, I guess, if that makes sense. So then that's gonna be step three, right? We're gonna have the song structure, know how many melodies, compose those melodies, and then we're going to arrange for those melodies. And once we have the arrangement, we'll have a whole song. So that's basically sort of my steps that I do when I'm planning out a song. So now that we sort of know where we're headed, now that we sort of know like what we're gonna do first, well, let's do it, right? So I already have an idea of what the song structure is gonna be. So we're gonna have, oh geez, we're gonna have an intro, and then we're gonna have an A section, and we're gonna have a B section. An A and B section are just melodies. I'm calling it that because this isn't going to be your traditional song. It's not going to be like a song with like a verse, a chorus, etc. It's just going to be a song, and it's going to have melodies, and it's going to be it's going to be a short song. And since repetition is good, we're going to repeat the first section, and then we're going to end it. So this is our song structure, right? We're going to have an introduction. We're going to have the first melody. Let's call it that. Actually, the first melody. And then we're going to have the second melody, and then we're going to repeat the first melody. So I guess you can call this A section the chorus. But yeah, so we're going to have, in theory, either 3 or 4 melodies. The reason I say 3 or 4 is because sometimes you can make a song and you can have the intro be the same thing as the outro. But again, since I don't know what I want to do with the song specifically in terms of arrangement, I'm just going to leave it open to the air. So we're going to have probably a total of around 3 or 4 melodies for this song. Now that we know how many melodies we need to make, well, now we just make them. So this is sort of my way of how I go about planning a song. Plan the structure. By planning the structure, we know how many melodies we need to make, and then we just go and we make the melodies. Now, of course, if you're a beginner, you probably have no idea where to start making a melody. And I mean, that's fine. I'll try my best to explain how you can sort of at least get started playing around and making your own melodies. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make the melodies. And I'm actually gonna skip this part because my computer heats up a lot when I'm running the recording software and in this program. But if you guys are still interested in seeing like how I make a melody, let me know, and then I can, I don't know, like make another video or something sort of explaining and going into detail how it is I go about making a melody as I'm making it. I'm still going to talk about how I make a melody. I'm just going to be done with it. In any case, so we're pausing here, and then we'll come right back once we're done with the melody. And we're back. So here we have the melody of the song. You guys can see section A is made out of these 2 blocks. Section B is these 2 blocks, and section A again. Actually, let's give it a listen. Right, so that's the melody we're going to be using for this song. Just um, so how? So let me try and sort of explain how I made this melody, or rather, I guess just like a brief explanation of how like you can like people who don't know how to make melodies, how you can sort of start making melodies. So the way I learned how to make melodies was that I learned by um, learning scales. Um, Generally, I guess you want to stick with major scales because they're usually the ones that are the most common. Minor scales are also pretty common, but you can basically just take a major scale and like change the notes up, and it'll be a minor. Like if you just change, like watch, like if I go here, right, that's major, but we go here, right, it becomes minor. So I mean, just learn. You can just learn the major scales for now, and you can sort of like play around with it. For example, this song right here is in the key of C major, and the notes that are inside of the C major are all of these white notes right here, like in a piano, all the white notes. So if you had a piano, you can just sit down at the piano and then just right like play all the white notes in an order, and then you'll get a melody. You just playing around, just sort of experimenting, and just making something that sounds good to you. That's how I learned how to make a melody. Um, Nowadays, um, I do a lot of my composing melodies like here in like these blocks. Like watch, like I would have a like 8 bars that's going on, and it's like in a continuous loop. You go on, and then it loops back. And then what I do is that I listen to the beat, right, which is the tempo, right? I listen to that, and like in my head, I sort of come up with like an idea. That idea can be like something that's like sung, or it could be like a rhythm, right? Like if I'm hearing here, like, and I'm kind of going for something like, right, something with that rhythm, right? So it goes like, right? So we have a basic like rhythm there, and then we can like play around with the pitches to come with something new. Like, hold on, let me do it like this. Yeah. Right. So that's kind of how I make my melodies nowadays. Or I mean, it's not the only way I make melodies. But it's one of the ways. It's how I made this melody in specific. I heard the tempo. I sort of came up with the rhythm, and like I played around with the pitches. So I mean, there's a lot of ways to make a melody. If anything I've talked about here is useful to you guys, hopefully you guys can use that in your own music. But yeah, um, best way to learn how to make melodies is just to learn other people's melodies. You know, listen to music that you like. Try to like replicate it by ear, because learning music by ear is really important if you want to make music on your own. Because a lot of what you're going to be doing in music is going to be sort of taking what you like about music and making it your own. So, and the only way you can do that is by listening to your favorite music, breaking it down, and then sort of figuring out like what kind, how do they make their melodies, like what kind of chords they're using, etc., etc. So, the best way, if you're learning how to make melodies, I would recommend is just listen to your favorite music, and if you can read music, right, sort of try to look for patterns, because that's the thing about melodies. Melodies tend to like, have patterns in them, like rhythmically, that sometimes it's kind of subtle. You don't notice until you notice it. Like for example, watch. Like here, watch. You can, oh god. Okay, you can see here, right? So this is the first part of the, oh, why is this in the bass? There we go. Yeah. So as you guys can see, this is the first part of the melody here. The top part and the bottom part is the second part of the melody. You guys can see, if you guys know how to read music, of course, that the rhythm, that is the length of the notes for the majority of the melody here, is the same. The only difference would be, for example, instead of this note going down in this part, it's going up, and it does its own thing here. It's like this note is different from this note, but you know, they're in the same place in the melody. So that's one way if you're wanting to learn from your favorite music, you know, sort of even if you can't read music, it still helps to, oh, give me a sec. It still helps to, oh, you can't really tell the difference with that, can you? Watch. Let's try this out. Let's change this. Let's do this, the note color. Let's do it by the region. And let's change the color of the region. Change the color of the region. I think it's this one. Let's make it blue. Make it blue. Yeah, even if you can't read music, it still helps to sort of see like what's going on with the notes. Like here you can see it's the same rhythm. It's the same rhythm. Just that in some places, I got the hiccups. It's just that in some places, you know, different pitches are being played. So this is one way you can go about learning how to make melodies, by sort of studying it. You can study the rhythm that's being used. You can even take the rhythm of a song that you like and then just mix around the pitches, and you've already got your own melody. I mean, there's a lot you can learn. So I strongly recommend, if you're serious about making music, take the time and actually study music that you like. And by studying, I just mean just like listen to it, sort of try to break it down. Like if you're trying to figure out, if you really like a melody to a song, try to learn it and try to see what it is about it that makes it good. Like maybe what makes it good is like how, like what notes is it playing? Like maybe it's doing like it's doing like really high, really big jumps between notes. Like instead of going like that, right? It's going right, like it's making big jumps, or maybe like the rhythm is interesting. It's doing some crazy stuff, like I don't know, playing triplets or something like that. But yeah, um, I mean, and honestly, I mean, I guess it's just my personal experience, but for me, making the melody is probably the easiest thing that you can do in regards to music, which is why it's the first thing I do, because I sit down and make a melody, and then we're good. So I think I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover. Um, if I was not clear, because I sort of explained it rather quickly, but if people out there are still sort of unclear about how you can make a melody, let me know, and I would I guess I can go into more detail and better detail too, because I'm not really that good at explaining, but I could sort of explain what I've explained here better, and hopefully provide actually better examples for you to to make to make it clear. Um, in any case, we are done with the first step. You guys remember? Here we have the plan, right? Our plan was to make the song structure. We're done with that. Compose the melodies. We're done with that. Now we're going on to the last step, which is the biggest one, and the one that takes uh, the most time, arranging for the melodies. So yeah, we're gonna be arranging. We're gonna be working with instruments, making bass lines, making chord progressions, making them all fit around these chords, these melodies that we made here, and bringing it all together to make a complete song. So yeah, so next video we're gonna be working on the intro. Um, you guys, I mean, I didn't do the intro right now because to me the intro is part of the arrangement. Um, what I mean by that is that like when I'm listening to a song, some songs, like if the introduction doesn't necessarily have a melody, sometimes it could just be like a drum line. Sometimes it can be like a chord progression. Intros are not necessarily purely melodic, which is why I tend to save those for when I start working on the arrangement. In any case, we're done. This video is done with. Look forward to the next one where we are going to be starting an arrangement, working on the introduction, and it's going to be fun. The arrangement is definitely the most, uh, it's both the hardest but most fun part of making music because you're just experimenting and you're doing a bunch of different stuff. Um, anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys learned something from this. You guys like this, please consider leaving a like, comment as well. This is my first time doing this. I'm not necessarily sure if I'm doing a good job. Feedback would be very much appreciated. In any case, take care, everybody, and I'll see you later. Sort of go like, okay, whoa. You sort of want to like confine yourself. Shit, I have to restart.